Hello everyone, my name is Pipin Abram and in today's video we are going to talk about Gauss law. Very important as far as boards are concerned. So let's get started. So Gauss law, it is one of the fundamental laws in physics. It is very basic. So before I start this video, let's answer this question. The question is what Gauss law can do, like what basically we can do with Gauss law, right? Okay, so let me just write the answer here, right? So basically with Gauss law we can find out the net electric flux passing through a surface, I should say passing through a closed surface. Okay, let me erase this part. Passing through a closed surface. Now I'm sure there must be a lot of questions in your mind, like for example, basically I'm talking about electric flux means I'm actually talking about electric fields, right? And there are two things that I'm sure you must be having. First is, we have studied about electric flux in our previous video, and in our previous video we know how to find out electric flux from a surface, right? We're just passing through a surface perpendicularly, right? We know how to calculate it. We know flux, which is represented by phi, can be given as E dot A. This is something which we have seen in the previous class, right? We know how to calculate that, right? Also, if we are talking about electric field, right, that also we know how to calculate. For example, if I have a positive q charge and let's say at some distance p I'm supposed to find out my electric field, let's say this distance is r, then I know electric field is simply given as k q upon r square. So I know these things, I already know, right? Now for flux, let's say the electric field is not constant throughout, then obviously I'll do a differential of this, right? For example, I'll talk about a small flux that is passing through a small area, right? So I will write it E dot dA, and I'm just simply going to integrate it over the entire region in order to find out the overall flux, right? So these methods of finding flux I already know. Then the question is, why Gauss law? Why do I study one more additional law to do my problems, right? Answer to that question is that Gauss law makes it easier for some cases. I'm not talking about all the cases, but certain symmetric cases Gauss law is very useful. It is very easy to find out the net electric flux, or sometimes in many cases we're talking about electric field due to any particular symmetric object, right? Any closed symmetric object, right? So that's why Gauss law, I'm not saying that it is easy for all the cases, but certain symmetric cases which we are going to discuss today. So I hope you guys got that right. Okay, so let's move on to the statement of Gauss law so that we can understand it much better, right? Okay, so the statement of Gauss law states that the law states that the surface integral of electric field, okay, surface integral of electric field means we are talking about net flux through that surface, right, over a closed surface is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge inside the closed surface. Okay, so what this statement is saying, it is saying that the net flux that is passing through a closed surface is simply equal to 1 upon epsilon times the total charge that is inside that closed surface, right? Okay, mathematically you can write it in this form, that is integration. This sign means you are integrating over a closed surface, right? The surface is not open. For example, all the 3D surfaces, right? We have discussed in the previous video that 3D figures or surfaces are your closed surface. For example, your sphere, cuboid, cube, cylinder, and so on, right? All the 3D surfaces which we actually see, they are a closed surface, right? So integration over the closed surface E dot dA, this actually gives us the flux, right? So basically the flux that is going out of the closed surface is given by Q total. This is total charge inside the closed surface, right? Total charge that is enclosed inside the closed surface divided by epsilon naught, right? So that is the mathematical form, right? So I'm sure you guys got little bit, I hope that you guys got little bit of the statement, right? So let's actually understand it. Let's get a feel of it, what this statement is actually talking about, right? So let's assume that I have a charge, right? Let's say I have a charge, I have a positive q charge, right? So let's say it is enclosed inside a sphere, right? Imagine it is enclosed inside a sphere. So this is my sphere and my positive q charge is at the center of the sphere, right? Okay, great. So let's say this sphere has a radius of r. I hope that is understandable till now. There is nothing difficult here, right? So this positive q charge is inside this closed surface, right? And the question, let's say the question is asking me to find out the net flux that is passing through this closed sphere, right? I have to find, obviously you guys can imagine, because of this positive charge, the electric field, or I should say the electric flux, is passing in all possible direction. Yes or no? In all possible direction electric field is actually passing, right? So I have to find out the net electric field or net electric flux that is passing through this closed surface, that is your sphere, right? I hope you guys can visualize that. That is something which I have to find out, right? So how I'm going to find out, right? Okay, so basically I'm supposed to find out the flux, right? So there is very see, basically I cannot say whether electric field is constant throughout any particular surface. So I will assume that, let's say I will assume a small area. Let me call this area dA, right? Let me call this area dA, right? So this area vector obviously will be perpendicular to the surface, right? So I've assumed a small area, right? Okay, great. And let me say this small area is, this is very small, right? It's actually point like, you have to assume it point like. Okay, so this very small area, let's say this is at point P on my sphere, right? It is on the surface of the sphere, right? At P point on the surface of the sphere I have assumed a small area dA, right? Great. Now this small area dA is at some r distance from my plus q charge, right? I hope you guys can see that, right? It is r distance from my plus q charge. There is a distance r, that is your radius, right? I hope you guys can see that. Great. So obviously if I want to find out electric field at that particular at the P point, what I'm supposed to go, obviously I will bring a positive test charge, and I know this positive test charge is going to experience a force in the direction up, in that direction, right? I hope you guys can see that, right? And this will be electric field because of the positive q charge, right? So you guys can see electric field as well as the area vector, they are making an angle of 0 degree with each other, right? I hope you guys can see that, right? Great, right? So I can write the flux for that small surface, for that small area. I can write it, right? How I can write it? The flux that is going, let me say, because obviously a small area, so small flux will come out of it, right? The small flux will be simply given as, yes, it is simply given as E vector dot dA vector, right? Small area vector, right? Okay, so I can write it d phi, let me call it d phi 1, because I'm talking about only one surface. Let's say d phi 1 will be equal to E dA, and I can write it cos of theta, where theta is the angle between area vector and the electric field, right? And here you guys can see the angle is 0, right? Because both your area vector, you guys can see, look at the figure here, both your area vector and your electric field, they are both making an angle of 0 degree, right? So I can write it E dA cos of 0, and we all know cos 0 is, yes, cos 0 is 1, right? So I can write it d phi 1 is equals to E times of dA. That is my equation number 1, right? Okay, now my question was to find out the net electric flux that is passing through the entire sphere, right? So what I did till now, I'm only talking about a small point P, yes or no? So all I have to do is I have to make these small area vector throughout the sphere. Can you guys get it? It's like I'm making small area vector throughout the sphere, and I will find out the flux throughout the sphere. They will see I have made only this number of area vectors, but there will be infinite number of area vectors throughout this sphere, right, throughout the area of the sphere, right. I hope you guys can see, right. So this is only 2D figure, right. You have to look in 3D way, right. There will be lots and lots of spheres, right. There will be lots and lots of area vectors, right. I hope you guys can visualize that, right. So there is actually a simple way, right. All you have to do is integrate it over the entire area, right. That's how you can find out the net flux, right. I hope you guys can see that, right. All I can do is integrate over the entire area vector, right, and that's how I can find out the net flux that is passing through the entire sphere, right. So what I will do, I will integrate this d phi, I'll integrate this entire the whole area, right. I'll call it, let's say, integrated entire the whole surface, and this will be equal to integration entire the whole surface E dot dA. See, basically it is actually cos theta, right. So it will be E dot dA, and this will be E dA cos of 0, no vector sign, right, and this will be simply equals to, yes, d phi is equals to E dA, right. So all it is actually multiply sign, right. So all I have to do is solve this, right. So let's solve this. This integration of d phi will become net phi net, right. It is throughout the area, and this will be equal to your electric field. We'll assume that it is constant throughout, it is, see, you guys can see, if I talk about P point, if I talk about, let's say, this random point here, right, this r distance, obviously it is at radius distance away, right. Obviously if I talk about electric field at here, the electric field will be of same value because it will also have kq upon r square, right. Very similarly, if I talk about electric field here also, it will be of same magnitude. This will be again kq upon r square, right. So electric field is something which is constant throughout the surface, right. Is that understandable to you? Yes or no? Right, great. Now electric field is something which is constant, that means it will come out of your integration, right. So I can write it, E came out, right, dA, right, entire, so your integration over entire area, right. So when you do the integration over entire area, the area of a sphere is 4 pi r square, right. Area of sphere is given as 4 pi radius square, right. So I can write it like that phi net will be equal to electric field multiplied by 4 pi r square, right. And actually I know the value of electric field also, right. Can you guys see? The value of electric field is kq upon r square throughout. You take it any place, right. For example, you can take it here also, the electric field will come out to be kq upon r square, right. So throughout you will get the same value, right. So I can substitute that value here. You will get phi net is equals to, this is kq upon r square multiplied by 4 pi r square, right. So this r square will cancel out with the r square, right. Also you can write it phi net is equals to, the value of k is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, right. I hope you guys can see that, right. The value of k is, this is q upon 4 pi epsilon naught, right, multiplied by 4 pi, right. So 4 pi and 4 pi will also cancel out, right. Okay, great. So you will get phi net is actually equal to q upon epsilon naught. Can you guys see that? The net flux that is passing through that sphere is given as q upon epsilon naught. So this is actually, this phi is telling you net flux which is passing through closed sphere. Yes or no? The net flux which is passing through the closed sphere is given as q upon epsilon naught, which was our statement of Gauss law. If you guys can see, this was a statement of a Gauss law. The net electric flux that is passing through a closed surface is given as q times total charge. See, the net flux that is passing through a closed surface is given as the net charge enclosed divided by the epsilon naught, right? I hope you guys can understand that, right? You guys can very nicely see that we got the same result, right? So that's why the Gauss law is so useful, right? Now you have to understand, when we see this result, there is no term for r, right? There is no term for size, right? So what does that say? It says that if I had plus q charge and if I had a closed sphere, right? Let's say this closed sphere was of radius r, or whether this closed sphere of, let's say, the radius 2r, let's say this closed sphere was of radius 3r, whatever it is, the net flux passing through that would have came out to be q upon epsilon naught, because there is no term which talks about the radius or the size or the dimension of the figure that you are making, right? So what does this say? This say that if we have plus q charge, and it is kept at the center of any closed figure, very very carefully you have to listen to my words I'm saying. If we have plus q charge and it is kept at the center of your closed figure, right, then the net electric flux that will be going out of the figure will be given as q upon epsilon naught, right? I hope you guys can see that, right? So I can say the net electric flux passing through any closed surface does not depend upon the dimension of the figure, depends upon the dimensions of the figure. So what does that mean? It means it's very nicely mean, right? For example, if I have a sphere and my charge is kept at the center, right, the net flux that is passing through that sphere, the closed sphere, will be given as q upon epsilon naught, right? Very nicely, right? Also, if you have a cube, let's say I have a cube, right? This is my cube, and in that cube, if at the center I have a charge q, right, again the net flux passing through that cube will be equals to q upon epsilon naught, right? Very nicely, if I have a cylinder, let's say I have a cylinder, right? These are your closed figures. You guys can see that closed figure, the charge is kept at the center, the net flux that is passing out of the cylinder will be equals to q upon epsilon naught, right? Now what all thing, okay, let's say if you have a cone, let's say you have a cone, right, and your charge is kept at the center, right? So what does that mean? You have phi is equals to q upon epsilon naught flux that is passing through that cone, that is going out of the cone, right? I hope you guys can understand, right? So what Gauss law states? Gauss law states that the net electric flux that is passing through any closed surface will be simply given as 1 upon epsilon naught times the net charge that is enclosed inside that closed figure, right? I hope that is understandable. So basically here we talked about the symmetry, right? I talked about, see very carefully, I said that your charge should be kept at the center, right? So here we are talking about symmetry, right? If your charge is not kept at the center, let's say if your charge was not at the center, if the charge was on the surface, right, then again you can apply Gauss law, but it will be not so easy, right? It will be difficult for us to calculate the values, right? Because the calculation part is going to be difficult for if let's say if you put your charges at the center, there are tricks to do it, right? But again, right, charges you have to see, you have to make sure you have to do something so that the charges come at the center of the figure, right? It makes our work so much easier, right? Now as you guys can see that with the help of Gauss law, right, you don't have to do E dot dA, right, and then you have to find out for small area, then integrate it over the entire surface. You don't have to do that, right? Just simply q upon epsilon naught, right? If you have plus q charge which is kept at the center, right, then answer is q upon epsilon not, right? I hope that is understandable. Gauss law makes our life easier, agreed, but there are some conditions which we have to follow for it to make our life easier. So what are those conditions? uh, these conditions, see, I'm writing it here that conditions for which Gauss law is applicable. Okay, Gauss law is applicable for all kind of closed figures, but there will be certain conditions for which we are going to be studying in our 12th stand, right? So what are the condition, right? So like I said, it is always applicable, it is just that we will study it for the following condition in our 12th stand, right? So what are the condition? Number one, the first condition is that obviously, for example, if you have, if you have any point charge, right, say you have a point charge, so obviously you're supposed to make a closed figure, you're supposed to make a closed figure across that point charge so that you can find out the net flux at any particular point, right? So this closed figure, the imaginary closed figure that you make, right, so that the Gauss law is applicable, this is what you call as a Gaussian surface, right? This surface is what you call as the Gaussian surface, right? So that is something which for example, if I have a positive Q charge and I'm supposed to, because of that positive Q charge, I'm supposed to find out some r distance away the electric field, right, or electric flux, right? So first I will make a Gaussian surface, a closed surface which encloses my positive charge, right? And based upon that I can apply the Gauss law. So this imaginary surface that I am going to make, right, so it will be we will explain it more in our next video, because in the next video it will be much more clear for you guys. So what is this Gaussian surface, right? So for time being, just bear with me, and you have to just assume that in order to find out because of a positive charge, if you want to find out electric field or electric flux at some point, at some distance r far away from it, right, you have to first imagine a Gaussian closed surface, right? So there are conditions. The first condition is the Gaussian surface must be symmetric with respect to charge. Like I said, the Gaussian surface must be symmetric with respect to the charge, right? You guys can see the charge is kept at the center of the Gaussian surface, so it must be symmetric for Gauss law to make your life easier, right? I hope that is understandable. Second case is that we will always talk about the case where we will assume the electric field to be constant. Like I said in our previous, just we did the exercise, so in this exercise we assume the electric field is constant, right? So again, like the notes say, that we will assume the electric field that is passing out through the Gaussian surface or the closed surface, it is supposed to be constant, right? That case is something which we are going to talk about, right? Last, the angle between electric field and area vector must be 0. So in most of the cases we are going to talk about those cases in which your angle between area vector and electric field is actually 0. So you guys can see in that exercise, the exercise in which we did, the angle between area vector and the electric field was 0, right? So these kind of cases are those cases which make our life easier with the help of Gauss law, right? So I hope you guys can understand that, right? I hope you understood the video. If you have any doubt, you can comment it down in the comment section, and I hope all of you are doing good. Stay home, stay safe.